Jamb, let's talk about the things you need to do before you write Jamb in 2024. And in this video, we're going to split those things into two parts. The things you need to do before the day of the exam and the things you need to do on the day of the exam. And I'm going to be using this notebook because I wrote down all the points because I don't forget anyone. So let's just get right into the video. The first part of the video is going to be what you need to do before the exam. Let's start. The first thing you need to do is you need to practice how to use Jamb's calculator. So in case you don't know, Jamb's calculator is a very basic calculator. It doesn't have trigonometric functions like sine, cosine, tangent. It doesn't have logarithmic functions. You cannot use it to differentiate or integrate. Like, it is a very basic calculator that only has the numbers and the symbols, like the most basic arithmetic symbols. So you need to practice, especially if you're going to be writing maths or physics, practice how to use that calculator, that kind of calculator before the exam day. If you're somebody that regularly practices using Jamb software, then that should be easy for you because you're used to calculator. If you're not, you can use your normal calculator, but try not to use any of those extra functions. Plus, there are so many videos on YouTube that you can watch on how to use Jamb's calculator. So immediately after this video, please watch any of those videos. You need to know how to use Jamb's calculator before the day of the exam. The second thing you need to do before you write Jamb is go to your Jamb center before the day of the exam. So like a few days to a week before the exam, Jamb is going to release your centers on the Jamb portal. So check it. And once you get your center, go to the center before the day of the exam. Go to the center so you familiarize yourself with the area, how to get there. You can ask for all the directions you need before the day of the exam, so that you don't feel stressed out on the D-Day. So get all of that out of the way first. Make sure you go to figure out where your center is for the day of the exam. Because many times there are usually centers that have like similar names or the same names in the same area. So you may get confused. Get all of that confusion out of the way before the day of the exam. And the third thing you need to do is you need to sleep early the day before your exam. One thing that students always want to do is pull all-nighters before the day of the exam. You want to study all through the night because you're feeling nervous and anxious for the exam. Please don't do it. Sleep well. You need to rest well. Sleeping increases the chances of you remembering what you've read, and it makes you feel less nervous. If you don't sleep well and you end up having a headache the morning of the exam, or your vision is blurry, it's definitely going to affect your performance. So just do your best to get as much rest as you need for the exam. At that point, the night before the exam, there's really not so much you can do to change the outcome. So just sleep well, so you wake up feeling well rested and ready to tackle the day. Final thing I'm going to say you should do before the day of the exam, or in this case, not do, is don't eat food from unfamiliar sources, or don't eat unfamiliar food, because like especially when it's like a few days to the exam or the day before the exam, don't eat anything new. Eat the food that you are used to. Sometimes you eat some certain food and then you start purging. You don't want to be purging the day of your exam, so just stick to the things that you're used to. Just doing all these things to avoid any sort of disruptions to your day. Because let me use myself as an example. Once something bad happens to me, like it's going to destroy every other thing that I do that day. Like it's going to just destroy my mood, make me not even want to put in effort to anything else that day. And if you're that kind of person too, please be as careful as possible so that your day will go smoothly and so that that exam will just be as perfect as it can be. Now let's go over the things you need to do on the day of the exam. So now it's the D-Day. You're probably nervous, but the first thing you should do on that day is eat well. Eat well. Don't let anxiety stop you from eating. Eat well. You need the strength. You're going to need the strength. The exam is going to be 2 hours long, and even before you enter the hall to write the exam, you're probably going to be standing outside your center. Why in Nigeria? They'll tell you the exam is stated for 7 a.m. and you may not start at 7. Like you may end up waiting for like an hour or 30 minutes or more. So eat well. Eat before you go to your center. So the next thing you need to do on the day of your exam is get you at your center at least 30 minutes before the exam starts, at least. I would even say an hour, but at least 30 minutes before your exam time, you need to be at the center. Even if you are thinking, oh, like I said before, Nigeria, you're going to waste time. There's no way to start on time. Just get to your center early. Get there as early as you can be. To avoid stories, just be there on time, sha. And if you live like really far from your center, there's something that people do. They go, let's say the center is in a different state, for instance. So you go to the center like a day or 2 days before the day of the exam, and then you get a hotel or you stay with family or friends if you have any in that area, so that you can be as early as possible for your exam. Like it's very serious because you cannot write the exam again once your time has like elapsed, once your batch has entered. Like that's the end. You're going to have to wait for the next year. So do everything you can to get to your center on time. And then once you're at the center, another thing to do is your biometric verification. So this is compulsory. Like once you get to the center, before you enter, like once your batch is being called in, before you enter the hall to start writing the exam, make sure you do your biometric verification. It's just to verify your identity, to be sure that you're really who you say you are. Nobody's writing the exam for you, and you're not writing the exam for anybody else. Make sure you do your biometric verification. Like it's so important that even if the invigilators or the instructors don't bring it up, go and remind them, like ask them about it. Like it is very important. And finally, once you are inside the exam hall, listen to instructions. Start when you are told to. Just follow all the instructions. If you're having any issues with your computer, it's not starting, the keyboard is not working, the mouse is not working, signify, call somebody. Don't keep quiet though. And I'm not saying you should like make a ruckus. Raise your hand and get the attention of somebody so the person can help you with whatever issues you're having. And there's sometimes when some people have some issues and they cannot write the exam at all that day. Jamb usually like reschedules their exams for them, so don't worry too much about it. But if you have any issue at all, make sure you let somebody know. Don't panic, don't stress yourself out, just let somebody know. Okay, so to round off this video, let me just give you my general tips and advice that I give everybody that I know that is writing Jamb or has written Jamb or any exam in general. So the first thing is don't panic, especially because Jamb is a CBT exam. And because many of us are not used to writing CBT. CBT means computer based test. So we're not used to writing a computer based exam or test. So there's a tendency to panic. Like literally the smallest thing can put to your computer and you're hyperventilating already. Please don't let that happen to you. Remain calm, breathe. It is just an exam. Like the fact that it's a computer based test does not make it tougher than any other exam. Relax. And like I said before, get the attention of somebody if you need help. Don't panic. Panicking and just stressing yourself may negatively affect your performance. So relax, take a deep breath. And this is something you should start building. And this is why it is good to like practice well with Jamb software, so you can get used to writing an exam on a computer. So if you can, you still have a few days to the exam. Practice it so that you're used to the computer interface and you're not nervous on the day of the exam. And another thing I want to talk about is time management. Jamb is 180 questions, so you're doing 4 subjects with English as a compulsory subject. English is usually 60 questions, and then the remaining 3 subjects are going to be 40 questions each. So in total, you have 180 questions, and you have 2 hours to answer all of them. I think the best strategy to use is to start with your strongest subject. So the subjects you feel comfortable answering the most, start with that subject and solve as many as you can. If you cannot answer any question, you have heard this advice before, I'm going to repeat it again. If you cannot answer any questions, keep it, move on to the next one. You don't have enough time to dwell on a question for too long. Just move on to the next question, and once you are through with a subject, move on to the next one. If a subject is looking too confusing for you, move on to the next subject. Just try to maximize your time as much as you can. And another advice I'm going to give you is attempt all questions. This is the greatest piece of advice I ever received when I was preparing for WAEC and JAMB. You have to attempt all questions. It doesn't matter if you don't even know the answer to the question at all. Pick an answer. Don't leave the hall with any of your answers unchecked. Attempt all questions, because if you don't attempt the question at all, you have a 0% chance of getting it. But if a question has four answers, like the multiple choice question has four answers, then regardless of which answer you pick, you have a 25% chance of getting the answer right. So please, 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 please attempt all questions. Just do it. It doesn't take anything from you, even if you are guessing, because that doesn't have negative marking. So it really doesn't matter. You're going to feel it regardless if you left the question empty. So please do your best to attempt all questions. And I just wish you luck in your JAMB. I hope that you don't have to write it again next year. I truly hope that everything goes well. You get the score that you're hoping for, and you get the course that you want in the university that you want. And yeah, good luck. See you after the exam. Thank you for sticking around to this part of this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you have other tips you would like to share with Jambite, please leave it in the comment section. And please subscribe to this channel so you can get more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.